Hey, Team Champions. So it's New Year's Eve, and it's the time of year where a lot of folks are making resolutions. We know that because one of the things that we're doing is helping people with their health and fitness goals and their New Year's resolutions in that regard. But one of the things that Jeremy and I always do, and that a lot of folks on this team I know take part in, is goal setting and really kind of mapping out their 2017. So it's pretty exciting. It's a lot of fun. It can be also, if you're somebody like me, a little bit overwhelming. So I look at the year and I can't decide what I want to do, how I want to do it. My goals seem too small. Jeremy's goals seem too big. And how do we meet in the middle? And I was really struggling this year with what my goals were and kind of how to approach the vision board and the goal setting for our family for 2017. And Jeremy came up with this idea that really helped me kind of prioritize and get to a place where I need to be, where I can clearly look at the year. And I really wanted to share it with you because I thought some of you guys might be struggling with the same thing, whether it's perfectionism, whether it's being overwhelmed with all the things that you want to do, or maybe just knowing that you need a change but not sure how to make that happen. And so the simple activity that I'm going to share with you guys today, I hope this helps. And again, it really just helped me get some clear pictures in my head around what I was doing, how I was utilizing my time, and how maybe I can set myself up for a 2017 that has a feel that I want it to have, right? So instead of it taking control of me taking control of it. And it all starts with prioritizing. And so the task or the activity is super simple. It's not a goal setting thing. It's not a map out your whole year. It's literally take 5 minutes to write down your top 10 priorities. So top 10 priorities, write them all down. Maybe they're not in the right order at first, and then you can number them 1 through 10. So at the end of that 5 minutes, you've got the thing of most importance to you at the top of the list, and then the number 10 is the least important thing of those top 10 priorities. And then next to it, just take a second to think about how much time you spend or focus in that area. And so we all hear that what you focus on grows. We know that if I want to be a master athlete, then I'm going to have to spend time in the gym. If I want to be an expert musician, then I'm going to have to spend time practicing. So it kind of goes back to that simple philosophy of the 10,000 hours, right? So in order to master something or to really get something to improve or to change, you're going to have to spend time there. So in that second column, we're going to spend the amount of time per week that you dedicate and focus on that priority. So for an example, I've got a few behind me and they're not in order, and I just kind of put some numbers up here, but it's going to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. And this really will help bring clarity to where you're spending your time. Maybe if there's some areas that you want to change, you can look at this and say, well, the reason they're not changing, or the reason that I am not reaching my goals or my potential in that area, is because I'm not putting the time into that specific thing in my life. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, on the board here, I wrote down a few of my priorities. So my kids are my priority, and I'm talking about truly focused time with my kids, not just being here, being their mom, getting them ready for bed, but I'm talking about engaging, interacting with my kids on a one-on-one or the two-on-one kind of environment. And then prayer and spirituality. So I know that if my prayer life is on, if I'm going to church, and if I'm in an environment in which cultivates that spiritual growth, then I'm going to be the best person that I possibly can. Advocare. Advocare is a priority for me and for our family. Working out, it's no joke or no surprise that I love to work out, that's a big priority for us too. And then the last one I have just up here is Jeremy. And again, that's not interaction while we're making dinner. That's really focused time, one-on-one time with my husband, where we can have time to talk without the kids and without doing something that we love to do, something that's going to bring us closer. So if I take those as my top 5 priorities, or 5 of my priorities, and then next to it, I would write down the amount of time per week that I dedicate to each one of those things. And so I put 20 hours for my kids. I put 5 hours for prayer and spirituality. I put 3 to 7 hours for Advocare. So what's say average of 5 hours a week on Advocare, 8 to 10 hours a week working out, and then 2 hours with my husband. And so what I would do then is, after I've got that list of my priorities, and then I've got a list of what kind of time I spend in each place, if I have the top priority and the bottom one is the least important of those 10, then I want to look at the amount of time that I spend in each one of those spots, and then help me reevaluate where I'm putting my time, where I'm putting my focus, and maybe how I can shift some results and some things that are happening in my life. So for me, just for an example of this list, I know my kids are important, AdvoCare is important, working out is important, Jeremy is important, but if I don't have my prayer and my spiritual life on track, my self-development on track, then nothing else is going to fall into place. And so that's kind of the pivot, the foundation, and the number one thing that I know I need to focus on. And so I look over here in the time, and where am I spending my time? My kids are the number one thing that takes up time. And then the second thing that takes up my time is working out. So if I'm looking at you and I'm saying, you know what, I don't feel like I'm maximizing my potential. I have anxiety. I maybe am overwhelmed. I just can't quite get to where I want to be. You could easily look at this list. I can easily look at this list and say, well, you know why? Because I'm not focusing on the area of growth that I know is going to be the most beneficial for me to get me where I want to go. And so really doing this exercise will help you kind of pinpoint some things that maybe you're spending not quite enough time in, or maybe too much time in. And if we can adjust that, you get out your calendars and start to adjust that, then your goals and your dreams will take place in 2017. So you'll start to cultivate an environment in which you're going to be the most prosperous, and the things that are the most important to you are going to be a first priority, and the thing that you spend your time in, which creates an entirely different foundation and an entirely different feeling, and it's going to set you up for a year like no other. So if you're having trouble coming up with some specific goals, if you're a little bit overwhelmed with the possibilities of 2017, or you just don't know what you want, but you know you want to change, I suggest taking 5 minutes, writing down your top 10 priorities, putting them in the order from most important to the least important of those top 10, and then evaluating the amount of time that you're spending and dedicating to each spot. Take an inventory and then see how you can shift your calendar around. I hope this is going to be helpful for you, and I look forward to a great 2017. Happy New Year's.